Good morning, everyone. My name is Dr. Scott Elliff, and I'm very pleased to welcome
Alexa, turn on desk lamp.
to our Suicide Awareness Forum. I'd like to ask, as we begin, that everybody make sure that you are muted unless you are speaking. So if you would take a moment to mute your microphone. We have other folks who are continuing to join, and so I'm doing a little multitasking here, trying to get them admitted to the room. We do want to thank you for participating today in this very important forum as we kick off Suicide Awareness Month here in Texas. And I want to introduce the folks who will be sort of our panelists today, for lack of a better term. First, introducing and thanking Representative Todd Hunter, who is whose office is sponsoring this this opportunity for us, and Angie Flores Granado from Representative. As I said, if everyone will please mute, you'll mute yourselves. Dr. Sissy Pettis, who is the superintendent of the Kingsville ISD. She's waving at us right now. Dr. Ada Besanice, who is just the recently retired Executive Director for Instructional Support Services in Corpus Christi ISD, and a longtime supporter of good social and emotional health for students in our area. Dr. Jennifer Gerlach, who is on the faculty of the Department for Counseling at Texas A&M University, Corpus Christi, is with us as well. We have a parent, Mr. Don Clark, who is here with us today, Don Clark. And his daughter is also going to be participating as a speaker, Ashlyn Clark, who is a student at Veterans Memorial High School, and Ms. Mona Lisa Vasquez, who is going to be sharing her personal story with all of us later today. So what we'll be doing this morning, the way we'll be proceeding through this is I'm going to turn it over to Representative Hunter in a moment, and we'll be hearing a bit from Dr. Pettis. We'll be hearing from you, the things that you're doing in your schools and the questions that you might have, particularly for Dr. Besanice and Dr. Gerlach as our experts. We'll hear from Don Clark and Ashlyn and Ms. Vasquez, and then we'll wrap it up. We should be done in an hour or so. So once again, if you would please mute your microphone unless you are speaking so that we can ensure that we don't have any feedback. The chat stays open, and I will try to monitor that as much as I can. Please mute your microphone so that we don't have any feedback. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Representative Todd Hunter.
Thanks, Scott, and thanks to everybody. The one thing I want you to know, this is a positive forum. This is good. I want you to know that what we're going to do is we're going to be kicking off shining lightness to everybody. And we talk a lot about connectivity. There is no better connectivity than what we're doing today. And I want to encourage you all to be involved. It's time to talk about the topic. Suicide, let's talk about it. We've got to be aware, we got to educate, but you know what? We got to comfort. And so what we're doing today is sending out positive messages. Now I want to let you know, why am I involved? Well, you know, in 2018, I was approached by some students in high school. And they contacted me, and they came to me and they said, we're very concerned about some of our friends, and they committed suicide. And we feel that if things could have been done, maybe we could help. Dr. Elliff, Dr. Pettis visited with me. Don, Ashlyn, Sammy, I can go through the list, Angie. We all started talking, so we decided to start organizing a group to make a difference. That's the key, make a difference. We save one person, we've done a great thing. So what we did is we started conversations with students, veterans, mental health professionals about suicides. And based on what we heard and developed, we got a group together. And I want you all to know this. You know, we hear a lot about this, but I want to give this community, the Coastal Bend, credit. This group, with the community's help, we passed laws in Texas to help suicide prevention and education. Now, right now, you're in September. September is Texas Suicide Prevention and Awareness Month. Do you know where that law came from? It's going to be here for 10 years from the Coastal Bend. This task force, this group, this community, we put that into law. So every day this month, it came from our community. And that's a good accomplishment. And my point is, we can make a difference. There is a law that we did. Now, they also came up with some ideas about data collection. And we need to find information. So another bill that this, what I call community task force, came up with students, veterans, professionals, families, parents, was a bill called HB 3980. And what it does is it provides the collection of key data regarding suicide rates in Texas. And this helps the state develop strategies to help in suicide prevention. So there are two examples of when our group gets together, we get things accomplished. And again, I give it credit because it came from our area of the state, not Dallas, not Houston. It came from here. Now, my view on suicide prevention is we got to connect all of us together. What we got to do is get messages out. We've got kind of a campaign, kind of what we call a Part Together. And what it really does is it brings us all together. And we put out signs. And I want you to know, people across the state have seen our signs. I've even got a request from the areas in Houston to follow what this community has done. So be proud of yourselves. This is great. It's good momentum, but the job isn't over. We are kickstarting this program to move forward. The Texas legislature begins in January, and I want to bring in more suicide prevention laws that help, that work. And there's no better group than the folks that are here today. So I want you to be thinking about ideas, letting us know, and let's get something accomplished again. But I want you to know, as we say in South Texas, working together, we get things done. Trabajando juntos hacemos las cosas. So hang in there, keep in there. We're going to shine the light, and we're going to make a difference. So Dr. Ella, thank you. And it's great that I now turn the baton over to our new superintendent, who has been in the forefront with Dr. Ella on this suicide prevention, and that is Dr. Sissy Pettis. Thank you, Doctor.
And as we pitch this over to Dr. Pettis, Representative Hunter, thank you. I just wanted to tell everyone that we are recording this session. So I wanted everyone to know that we are recording this for our internal purposes. And to let you know also that later you'll have an opportunity to ask questions from your school group, but some of you may also have individual questions. And if you want to pose any individual questions, the chat space is open. I'll do my best to monitor that. If you're not comfortable posting your question to the entire group in the chat, look up my name, Scott Elliff, and you can post your question personally to me, and I'll make sure that it gets asked, right? So thank you very much. And thank you, Dr. Pettis, for letting me have that little bit of airtime.
Sure. Okay, I'm going to take a minute to welcome each group. And like Representative Todd Hunter said, this did start with a group of students who unfortunately lost someone to suicide. Ashlyn Clark, my daughter Sammy Perez, who is at A&M Kingsville now, but she's in a class right now, and their group of friends. So the reason we continue to talk to students is because we know the power of the voice of the student, and we want to continue listening to you and continue moving forward some ideas that we have for laws that, like Representative Hunter was saying. So September, you know, the month of suicide prevention would not have been happening for these 10 years had it not been for the effort of the group of students. So remember that, okay? You have the power. So I'll first start off with, for the first time, we do have some college students because we did find out in our data digging that teenagers, high school students, junior high students, middle school students, and college freshmen, the rate of suicide was pretty alarming, very alarming. In fact, in Texas, we had almost 3 times more than the national average. And so this is definitely a concern, and we can't run away from it. We've got to deal with it. So I want to first start off with the college students that are joining us, and they are from TAMU Kingsville. So if y'all can wave, and who is your spokesperson that's going to give their hello message? You'll need to unmute, whoever it is.
That's me.
There's Megan Palmer. Okay, hello.
Hi, we're representing the TAMU women's basketball program, and we're just here because we want to figure out anything we can do to help.
Thank you. Thank you so, so much. Okay, I believe we have some people from Moody High School. Did Moody High School chime in? Moody High School. Is there a representative on here? I know their police league was coming, so maybe they haven't joined in yet. We'll come back to them. How about Robstown? Did Robstown cotton picker show up? I know Dr. Elif is a Robstown cotton picker. But did any students show up yet? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, did we?
Yes, I see a few giving thumbs up, Dr.
Okay.
Pettis.
So do we have a spokesperson from them to?
I believe that'd be me.
Thank you for being here.
Okay. All righty. How about GP, Gregory Portland? Gregory Portland, RSVP'd. Okay. Madison Hardwick, are you
Ian
from?
and Shiv or?
Okay.
I'll be the spokesperson for GP.
Wonderful. Do you have a hello message for us?
Hi, I'm from GP. There's some other people in here as well that are also from GP, and we're going to try to do whatever we can to help prevent suicide.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, do we have some people from HM King High School in Kingsville?
Yes, we're right here.
Thank you, Bremas.
We're the students of HM King, and we think it's important to participate today because there's a bunch of kids who suffer in silence, and we want to know what ways we can help them not be scared and open up to us.
Thank you so much. How about
Thank
from Ray High School? Ray High School?
Hi, that's me. My name is, hi, Dr. Pettis, we miss you. Hi, my name is Lena Ortiz. I'm a senior at Ray. I'm here with some other representatives, Joanna and Rupa. So we're here today because we know it's important to make sure that everybody has somebody to talk to so that we can do our best to prevent any suicides among our student body. And that starts with making everyone feel that they belong. We're here today because we believe in making an effort to make connections, not just within our student council, but the whole student body. And our student council has done like a fantastic job reaching out to people and making connections among our student body or our student council, so much so that we had a member last year reach out to us on social media and just say like, oh, thank you for being so welcoming. But we're here today because we want to know how we can expand that, not just to our student council, but to our whole school, and how maybe we can navigate this online atmosphere so it doesn't stop with Zoom. So thank you for having us.
Thank you. Welcome. How about from Veterans Memorial High School, the Eagles?
Hi, I'm Zachary Spolvita. I'm with Veterans Memorial High School with some other members of our student council and officers. We think that's important to come here to learn more about suicide and to come up with more ways to help prevent it, as well as to take it back to our students, especially since we're not all together right now. Students are separated both virtually and some of our students are at school. So to keep those students happy and help everyone stay motivated during this time.
Thank you so much. How about collegiate or branch?
That'll be me, Ariella Florentino.
Hello.
Yes. And I guess like our hello message is just that we our goal here today is mostly to kind of normalize talking about suicide to people. I think most of the time students who are struggling with these thoughts feel so ostracized and isolated that whenever we make those thoughts more taboo, it just makes them creep more back into that hole that they've been in, you know? So I think that if we really try to normalize that talk and make people feel comfortable, like reaching out and stuff to either a trusted adult or to friends, maybe, you know, counselors and everything, I think that it can make a really big difference in their lives.
Very true. Thank you so much. Benavides, is Benavides in the house? I saw their superintendent's name.
Hi. Yes, that'll be me. My name is Stephanie Cavazos. I'm a senior at Benavides Secondary. I know I saw some other of my classmates here attending the presentation today. We just want to make sure that there's anything we can do, just anything to make people aware of signs for their classmates, teachers, even staff. I know even right now during everything with the COVID, and it's hard, you know, we're not together. People may taking it harder, you know, but we just want to make people more aware and to be alert of any signs or anything we can do to be there for anybody who's struggling. Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Thank you. Westoso, the Bears. I know I've seen a few.
Good morning, Miss. It'll be me.
Good morning.
Today I am here speaking on behalf of Westoso. We also have 3 other representatives from Westoso. We have Giselle Ramirez, Araceli Salinas, and Jada King. And our hello message today is, good morning, everyone. My name is Deshaun Simmons, and I will be speaking on behalf of Westoso High School this morning. I would first off like to say thank you for the invitation. We here at Westoso High School serve you with great appreciation, as this is an important subject of matter in today's society. Sadly, suicide is real and often avoided in discussion. Therefore, this conference can help one person. If this conference can help one person to keep pushing, then its function is significant. Again, thank you for all who took their time to put this together. We can't wait to see what you have in store for us.
Thank you so much, Deshaun. Good to see you too. Let's see. Have I missed anybody? Did Moody or Robstown get to zoom in?
Hello.
Hi.
I'd like to speak on behalf of Branch Academy.
Okay.
Because Branch and Collegiate are 2 different schools. And I'm here on behalf of Chloe Pleasant and Kiara Miller. And we just think that it's really easy to slip down through the cracks and be missed through all of this COVID social distancing. You don't get, you know, the interaction. And we're grateful to be here also. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Did I miss anybody else?
Oh, I'm going to be speaking on behalf for Roy Miller High School.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, great. I didn't get a response from your, well, I may have missed it. So thank you so much.
My name is Karen Santos. I'm from Roy Miller High School. I'm a senior. Our open message for today is just that we think it is important to let everyone who's going through this and letting everybody know in general that there is someone to talk to, that the struggle, we know it's going to be there during this rough time as well. It is hard to like get a hold of people at the same time because you can't see them. And it's going to be here for a while, but we just need to let them know that there's always someone there to talk to, and that if there's anything we can do, we're always open for it and we're always here to help.
Thank you so much, Miller Bucks. Okay. Hope I didn't miss anyone. If I did, let me know.
Okay. Hello.
Okay.
My name is Tanya Lazar-Cabello. I'm a junior representing the Robstown Early College High School Cotton Pickers. I'd like to open y'all wishing y'all a good morning, and I'd like to thank you for having us. As Mr. Correa said, it is incredibly easy to fall through the cracks, and it needs to be acknowledged, this issue.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Okay, at this time, I'm going to bring in a guest. Her name is Mona Lisa Vasquez. She is a parent of a student who went through this, and it's taking a lot of courage for her to join us, but she feels like that, and we feel like she has a very, very important message for us, and we can learn from it, because the whole idea is prevention, and let's hope we can prevent anyone from having to go through something like this. So I really, really thank Ms. Vasquez for joining us. And if you all would please give her your attention.
Good morning, everyone. My name is, like Dr. Pettis said, Mona Lisa Vasquez. I am a parent of a student who committed suicide last year. I'm sorry.
That's okay, that's okay.
My son was a senior at Branch Academy. He would have graduated this past year. And anyone that knows my son or would have known my son not all the signs are always present and always there. That's one thing that I want people to realize. Like I've said, my son was amazing. You know, he was loved by many at his school with the support that I got from his school administration and his classmates. He had an infectious smile that would light up a room, and anybody that would remember him that's here on this platform right now who remembers Chance knows that about Chance. But this is very real. The impact that it has on parents, on siblings, on family, on classmates. These issues need to be addressed. If someone voices out to any of y'all, students, friends, please, I ask that it be known, because that was one of the things that my son did, voiced a concern, and it was left unheard. But this is really real. There's not a day that goes by that I miss my son or wish that he was here. I'm sure I'm not the only one. I'm sure there's, you know, teachers and friends that also experience this as well, of a passing of a student or a classmate. But this is really real. We need to be open and honest with each other. Communicate is the big key. If I want to say if a classmate reaches out to you and voice concerns, or if you feel that something is not right, please address it to your administration, to your teachers, to counselors, or if you're friends with their parents, please address those issues to them. And like I mentioned in the beginning, not all the signs are always present. That's what happened with my son. I don't know what else to say, but
No. I think you've told us, I mean, some great information, because it's true. We don't know sometimes when somebody reaches out either to take them seriously or not. And sometimes students feel like, well, maybe I'm overreacting, or maybe I shouldn't, you know. but why not just, you know what, take a moment to tell someone, even when they just say hello. The reason I had y'all saying hello, a hello message, is because that is kind of a theme with the Sandy Hook families that lost all their children to the active shooter. It's when when you see someone, at least say hello. And a lot of times you can kind of get in your gut, something may be wrong with this, maybe be bothering this student. And just with that little hello, that might help. And if we take the opportunity to do that, then follow your gut and let somebody know. I want to thank Ms. Vasquez for having the courage to come over here and share her personal story with us, because it brings us back to knowing this is real. Just like you said, this is real, and this is hurtful to siblings and classmates and everyone that is surrounded by a student that may commit suicide, or anyone that does. So thank you.
Ms. Vasquez, I also want to just say, I'm so sorry for your loss. And I know that everyone here shares in that sentiment and wants to express that to you, and appreciate the courage and openness and vulnerability that you've shown by being here today. I think that your message is going to carry a great deal of weight, and through your experience and through, I know you must feel that Chance is behind you, giving you strength to be here today.
Oh, yes.
So we all feel that and want to honor that. I think if you'll look in the chat that is going on right now, a lot of the students are expressing their support for you, their concern for you, and their gratitude for what you've done today. Thank you so much.
I want to just thank everyone and all the responses and everything. If anybody wants to have questions for me or ask me, talk to me, anything, they're more than welcome to reach out to me, and I can share that information with Todd Hunter's office, and then you can, I guess, get that information from them. I'll be more than happy to speak with anybody if they have questions or anything. I'm willing to reach out and help.
Thank you so much.
Ms. Vasquez, Ms. Pettis, if I can interject, Dr. Pettis, real quick. Ms. Vasquez, this is Dr. Bessanice. I know we met last year, and I want to again thank you on behalf of what you've done today. I think, also give a message not only to our students, but to our parents in helping to understand the complexity of what our children struggle with. So I think your courage is also going to give others a chance. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Elif, I believe it's your turn.
Yes, ma'am. So thank you very much, Dr. Pettis. This is your opportunity to ask questions, and we want to be able to give everybody as much of an opportunity to do that with the time that we have. And so the way we're going to do this is I'll kind of go through this list of schools to see if there's anybody from any of the schools that has a question that they want to pose. And the questions would be going to Dr. Bessanice. Wave for us, Dr. Bessanice, so we can see you. There you are. And Dr. Gerlach from A&M Corpus Christi. Wave, Dr. Gerlach, so we can see you, or say hello. And I do want to point out that Dr. Gerlach has some resources that she's going to post some links into the chat. Dr. Gerlach, if you could just very briefly tell us what those resources are before we get to our questions.
Sure. Thank you so much, Dr. Elif. Thank you, everybody. I realize time is short, and I really appreciate the opportunity to be here, and everyone, Ms. Vasquez, Representative Hunter, everyone. The resources that I'm going to share are national resources. So there's some links to the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. There's a phone number and the crisis text line. So I'll be posting those in the chat. And then here for local community resources, TAMUCC has really great counseling that's done through our students. So I teach students how to be counselors. So I teach master's and doctoral students. And so we have free counseling that's offered through the TAMUCC Counseling and Training Clinic. And I'll post the phone number and the website there, and that's on our campus. And on the west side of town, we have the Antonio E. Garcia Arts and Education Center, where we also do free counseling there as well. And we have group counseling, we have grief and loss counseling, kids, children, teens, families, everyone. So I'm gonna try not to overload you guys, but I definitely want you guys to have this information so that you guys can get support and spread the word.
Thank you, Dr. Gerlach. Okay, I'm just going to begin by going through some of the schools I heard earlier. And once again, the chat is open. I'll try to monitor those questions if you have individual questions as well. And let's begin with Miller High School. Is there a question for Miller? And if there's not, we'll come back to you. But is there a question for Miller High School? If you would, please unmute and ask your question. How about from West Oso High School? Is there a question from West Oso High School? If you have a question, please unmute and ask.
Any suggestions of what we can do in our community?
That's a great question. Yes, actually. So there, just by being here shows that you're helping end the stigma. So that's wonderful. Participating in Suicide Prevention Month in September. April is Counseling Awareness Month. May is Mental Health Awareness Month. So these are some awareness months that you guys can have little campaigns going on at your schools. The American Foundation for Suicide Prevention has a chapter here in South Texas, and they're wonderful. And at the university, we actually partnered with them to do a suicide prevention walk in the spring, because spring is a time when suicides tend to be higher in college students. And we ended up doing a virtual walk. We didn't quite have the publicity that we had hoped because of the coronavirus. So there are campus walks in the spring, and we plan on doing that again on our campus. And you can partner with them to do a community walk in the fall. So the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, which I'll post their information in the chat, has really great resources, and they make it very easy for communities to come together and raise awareness. And these are called the Out of the Darkness walks. And so they tend to have community walks in the fall and the college campus walks in the spring. So if that's something that you guys are interested in doing, it's not too late to do it. I think things will probably have to be virtually, again, at least for the fall. But you can certainly reach out and start a walk, and I think that would be really wonderful.
And I'd like to just add, if I may, that one of the things that we learned from Dr. Bettis and her work at Ray is that often in public schools, the adults make plans on how we're going to highlight different topics, but it wasn't until the experience with Dr. Bettis that we needed to open that up and include our students in the planning of those launching pieces. So your question, what can we do? And Dr. Gerlach gave you some great examples. I would just add to join forces with your campus administration and your campus counseling team to be able to say, this is what we want to represent in our school and in our community, because I do believe that we will begin to see more creating a suicide safe care culture where we're banding together in unity, students and adults on campuses and community, to be able to have those conversations.
Thank you, Dr. Bessanice. And Deshawn, thank you. And thanks, West Oso. Go Bears. Okay, how about from Gregory Portland? Is there a question from Gregory Portland? If so, unmute and ask your question.
Yes, we're wondering, now since everything's online, how would we, if someone that we know is trying to commit suicide and we feel like they might go through with it, how would we let them know that we're there for them and try to help them if they're pushing us away from them?
Thanks, Blake. That's a good question. Dr. B or Dr. G?
Yeah, so thank you for that question. So if it's in the moment, if you are concerned, and I was a high school counselor for 6 years before I became a professor. And so I've had these instances where students posted things on Snapchat where they were actively involved in getting ready to do something. In those instances, call 911. That's absolutely critical. If it's something where you're not worried about someone in the specific moment, reaching out to them, and the most important thing is to talk to a trusted adult, whether that's a parent, that student's parent, your counselor, teacher, principal, whoever, reaching out to an adult, because we know that kids more often, and teens, not to call you guys kids, teens more often than not talk to one another before they talk to adults. And so if you're really concerned about a friend or a peer, it's really important that you don't feel that you need to shoulder that responsibility on your own, that there are professionals that do this, there are professionals at your school, there are adults that can get to resources to intervene. So the important thing for you as teens is to talk to an adult to get that your friend help. And if they get mad at you, that's okay, because they'll still be here. So that's really important. Dr. B, what else do you have?
I think you've hit every piece, and then the most important piece is the wellness check. Someone needs to check on those individuals, particularly right now when we are not together, and they may feel more isolated and less support being alone. If parents are working and they're at home alone, and you hear from them in whatever capacity that they do need that wellness check, and they need to know that they're not alone, and there is absolutely no shame in how they feel, and in no shame in getting help from the support network that is available to everyone.
Thank you. And thank you, Blake, for that question. Let's move to Ray High School. Lena, do you have a question for Ray?
Sure. Okay, so I know we talk a lot about knowing the signs of someone who's struggling like with depression or is thinking about like having thoughts of suicide, but I know it's kind of intimidating to go to an adult and be like, I think this person may be having such and such thoughts, and it's honestly, I think it's easier to first start talking to your friends, even if you aren't that close. So how would you suggest going about reaching out to someone and, you know, showing that you are concerned and that you are willing to show your support without being, I guess, like accusational?
Okay, I can start, then Dr. Gerlach, you can follow up. I think one of our most significant experiences in my time as a high school counselor as well, is that typically those close friends came and reached out to the counselor first without their friend to say, I'm concerned about so-and-so. These are the things they're saying. How can we get them to come in with you to see an adult, or even virtually right now to be able to make a phone call or tag. So often we're really unsure if they're just really having a bad day, or they have a significant loss like a relationship breakup and they're mourning that loss. But regardless if you feel that they need the support, often the individual that's hearing that needs to act on that and be able to go to that trusting adult to say, I'm concerned about my friend, and can you help me reassure her that, or he, that we can talk to them and help them understand that they just probably need to have that conversation and or get more professional help from outside entities. Dr. Gerlach?
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with that, Dr. B. And if you're talking to a friend, Lena, saying exactly what you said to us, I care about you, and you don't seem, you seem a little off to me. And I've had students come down with their friends because they needed that support. I think it's really important, if you're talking on a friend-to-friend level, that we're really non-judgmental and that we're really supportive. And so sometimes it can be very easy if we're scared because our friend's acting different and we don't know what this could be, to just dismiss it and be like, oh, they're just having a bad day, or they're sweeping it under the rug. And that could really be your friend kind of testing it and calling, testing, all right, I kind of let Lena in, or I let this person in, and they just disregarded it. And so that means everyone's going to disregard it, and that's not true. And that might not be your intention to disregard. So sometimes it can be really scary to be on the receiving end of that. And so I would encourage students to take a step back for a second, just kind of collect your thoughts, and then approach your friend and make sure that you say, hey, you know what, I don't think I quite heard you or reacted well when you shared that you were really upset, or you're really scared, or you're really lonely. And I want you to know I'm here for you and I care. And so conveying that in a non-judgmental way, and then certainly going to talk to an adult who does this is really beneficial.
Now, Oh, can I just say one thing is that because I know when I was at Ray that one of the things we talked to the kids about was that if you're in a traditional setting, let's say we weren't virtual, you know, and you're worried about one of your friends, then you can just ask your teacher, you know what, can I go to the restroom? And really you're not going to the restroom, you're going to the counselor to tell them, you know, hey, I'm worried about this student. Or you tell your coach or someone else, or you just, you know, tell your teacher, I need to talk to you about something outside because I'm worried that I'm not doing well on my classwork or something. I'm having problems with a problem, but really you're going to report this. And I promise you, the adult that really cares about you, they're not going to let it be known that you're the one who told if you're worried about that, you know, or they'll do everything they can to make sure that they protect you. So there are different ways that you can kind of get to do that. And then virtually, it's just kind of signaling to the teacher, I need to talk to you, you know, on a one-on-one Zoom when we get a chance. I'm having problems with some of the work we're doing. And really, you're just going to report that. So that's just a suggestion.
That's great. And you won't be judged. You are not going to be in trouble for talking to an adult about this. I cannot emphasize that enough, that you are not in trouble. You're not in trouble for disclosing that you are struggling. You're not in trouble for disclosing that a friend is struggling. So if you take anything away from today, that you're not in trouble for talking about it or for bringing it up.
One of the participants has sent me a message saying, you know, sometimes they face the challenge of there isn't an adult that I trust that I can go talk to. I don't have an adult I trust that I can go talk to, or and what ends up happening is this person's expressing is, I have a lot of friends who are feeling pretty badly right now, and I'm the one that's absorbing all that. I'm the one that's carrying that burden. What suggestion do you have for a student who may be sort of holding on to all of that for a friend or for some other friends, but they don't have an adult that they can go talk to? What's an alternative strategy?
That's a great question, and that is a lot to hold on yourself. And so every school has school counselors, and you might not have a relationship, you might not know who, you know, or been super, you know, close with your school counselor, but those are the professionals on your campus. And just like Dr. Pettis said, it can be a coach, it can be a teacher, it can be another parent, or talking to your parent, or having a friend say, hey, like talking to an adult together, maybe figuring out who some of your friends' trusted adults are, and then you can go to those trusted adults. So I get that trust is a really tough and kind of a loaded word, particularly you know, at this age, and the world's a hard place, and we're not always close to the adults in our school, but you do have trained professionals, and your administrators deal with this often as well, just as much as counselors. So that way, I'm not sure if that helps. Dr. Beatty, any other suggestions?
And I just wanted to interject, Dr. Gerlach, following up with you, that the key is, how do we bridge, you know, the information that you have to that certified professional who can create the plan of receiving professional help? Because often I also have heard from parents over the course of the years, tell me, Dr. B, will we try to handle it at home? We spoke to only our, maybe, you know, a religious person, or maybe our pediatrician, but we were really feeling the shame of letting too many people know what we were dealing with. And so they struggle within themselves. And even that individual, Dr. Ella, that you mentioned, as a student, if you're taking on all of that, your job is really to try, or our job is to help you bridge all that work to someone who is a professional, who can then bridge what the individuals need, either with a certified school counselor or social workers that many districts have, along with the resources in the community to help bridge the identified help that everyone needs. So every individual will be different, and that is how we manage those plans on how to help. Stephanie, from Karen, from Beatrice, from anybody else, their plans are going to be different.
Okay, let's move on to another school. Thank you so much for those great responses to these questions. I'm going to move on to Branch High School. Jose, do you have a question for Branch, or are you going to pass on this one?
No, sir, I don't have any questions. Thank you, though.
Okay, thank you. How about my alma mater, Robstown High School?
I have a question.
Okay.
Do you personally believe that people with depressive or suicidal thoughts and tendencies need to have their voices heard on so much more than just their personal issues?
Sorry, can you repeat that question one more time? I apologize.
Do you believe that people with depressive or suicidal thoughts and tendencies need to have their voices heard on a lot more than what's just their personal issues? How they feel about a lot of things that may not be related to them, at least at first thought.
Yeah, I think so. I think, yeah, absolutely. I think everyone's voices are important and need to be heard, whether it's about something personal or something related to other things. And so sometimes people can, when their voices aren't heard related to other things, it can make them feel like they're not heard personally. And so then that can kind of start a downward spiral. So yeah, absolutely. I think it's really important that we're kind, that we're listening always to other people. Does that answer your question?
It does, although it does still, it creates questions too, as how, we already have this stigma built into society over, not over suicide even, I'm just using your voice to speak. That has become a stigma in the world of today.
So being in a safe zone, right? To be able to speak.
And that, Mr. Hall, is what we're now moving towards, is creating that safe culture that Dr. Bettis is referring to. And so we've seen over the course of time, schools create opportunities for students to be able to scribe or script how they're feeling first in writing. I know Dr. Bettis did some of that at the halls of Ray High School to allow students a means, and we can also do that virtually still today, in our platforms in our schools, and that's just the first place. But it's really removing the stigma that must begin. It must begin in order for us to reach not only young adults, but adults that are in crisis, to know that it is okay to discuss it and talk about it openly, and that you're going to be supported and not judged for how you feel during this period of time.
That might be a good suggestion for you to take to your sponsor or to your principal or superintendent about creating a safe zone at your school to be able to voice and have discussions like this. So just a suggestion.
Dr. Elif, I'm sorry, I know this is off script. I did get a personal question that I think is really relevant, if that's okay. I had a very brave...
maybe the same one I got. So go
okay.
ahead. Let's see.
Great.
Go ahead.
I had a very brave person reach out and ask, what if you don't want to share with friends because you don't want them to feel that burden? And that's a great question. And I want you to know that you are not a burden. And I've done a lot of suicide assessments on students. I teach counselors how to do those suicide assessments. And you are not a burden. You're not a burden. And so when people ask that, because that's a common feeling of students who are in pain, I don't want to burden anyone else. And so that's a very common feeling. And what I share with students, in addition to not being a burden, that they are not a burden, is that if the roles were reversed, if someone else was in pain, your friend was in pain and thinking about these things, and they come talk to you, do you ever feel like your friends are a burden? And generally the answer is no, and that you want to help. And so I would encourage this person who very bravely asked this question to, if you're not comfortable talking with friends, you can call, use the crisis helpline. You can use some of these resources where you don't have to know the person on the other end of the phone, and then to talk to an adult. And it's a really brave, really, really hard thing to do, is to open up, but you're not a burden. And so I wanted to share that information.
And I want to thank you, Dr. Gerlach, and a similar question that was posed here and also kind of came in advance of the forum might be answered by the resources that you posted into the chat. The question was, what if someone's thinking about suicide, but they just don't feel like they can trust anyone, like friends or family or trusted adults. The question that came in advance was, where can students go for help if they're battling depression or suicidal ideation? Y'all have all talked about go to a teacher, go to a counselor, go to a trusted adult, but I presume also these other resources that you provided, helplines that you can call where you're talking to somebody who is trained and you're not having to disclose to somebody you know personally, right? Would you say that in addition to those, are there any other suggestions that you would have or that you just like to emphasize? I don't trust an adult. Nobody in my life. I don't trust anybody. Where do I?
Yeah, absolutely. The crisis text line, all of the resources that I posted in the chat, they have text lines, they have call lines. I think you text hello to 741-741. Those are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365, and they have people who are trained professionals on the other end of the line. And so they can work with you on talking about your concerns, and then help connect you with resources and help work with you on being really brave and going to talk to someone and building that trust and developing that trust. But they are really wonderful and have trained professionals on the other end of the line.
I'm going to thank you, Dr. Gerlach. We are kind of moving toward the end of our time together. We won't be able to hear from every campus. I did want to check in with Texas A&M Kingsville. Was there a question there from our university student, Megan?
Yes, I do have a question. Since everything is online and most of our interactions with our friends and peers are through technology, what are some specific signs that we can look out for as far as depression and the thought of suicide go?
Yeah. So I cut off on the end of that question. I apologize. I think my internet's getting a little fuzzy.
Well, I just asked, since everything's online and most of our interactions with our friends and peers are through technology, what are some specific signs we can look for that through technology to get our friends the help if they need it?
Yeah, so good question. A lot of these places are doing telehealth and telecounseling because it's not safe to be in person a whole lot. So all of the resources that I posted are all online. They're virtual. They're accessible all the time.
I think she asked also what are the signs to look for, but I think
signs. Okay, sorry, I missed that. I apologize. Yes, I think things like if you have someone who's really active on social media and then all of a sudden they're not active, so there's a change in behavior. If they're not coming on Zoom, you haven't heard from them in a while. I think virtually, those are some of the signs about kind of withdrawing or not being as accessible. Or sometimes people can post lyrics or statuses or images on Snapchat and on social media that kind of indicate or hint that they're not okay. And so then with those, it's just reaching out and saying, hey, I saw you posted this, and so how are things going? I'm concerned, or I care about you. So those are some of the things virtually that I would, if all of a sudden their online presence is not really there, and then looking for any of those really subtle song lyrics, posts, sad pictures and things like that can kind of indicate that they're struggling. Dr. B, do you have anything to add? Mm-hmm.
I was just going to add any type of physical changes that you see when you do see them on, Zoom or Facebook, any physical changes that you see over a period of time. Just as you mentioned, Dr. Gerlach, checking in with them, even in a conversation, do they feel so overwhelmed right now? Because the plan was graduate, start college. We have we usually a timeline of everything we want to accomplish and those benchmarks, and when that is not going as planned, we begin to feel very overwhelmed. And there's some things right now because of the pandemic that is out of our control, so our anxiety level is already heightened by that piece. So I would just add, the fear of how people are right now experiencing that, the physical pieces, the anxiousness that you might hear in their voice, and then just like Dr. Gerlach mentioned, just checking in and just directly asking, are you okay? Is everything going okay? I'm here for you. Is there anything I can do for you at this moment in time? And often it's just having that person to talk to and be able to voice any support that you can provide them.
Dr. Gerlach and Bessanice, would you mind posting an email address in the chat just in case there are follow-up questions that people might want to direct toward you following the forum? I know that there may be many more questions people are continuing to post.
I'm getting them as well. And
kind of a theme around, I don't have a person I can go talk to.
Right.
Dr. Pettis is posting, follow us on Twitter, Stop Texas Suicides, and direct message there if you need some help. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Clark. Don Clark is going to, in our remaining few moments, just see what kinds of ideas are emerging at your own high schools, I believe. So, Don?
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Elliott, Dr. Pettis. Again, my name is Don Clark. I'm a parent who unfortunately has been fairly close to this situation with people that I like to refer to as bonus daughters. I've got two of my own, but between sports teams and other events, I've got bonus ones throughout the district. I think originally the question was going to be what people planned on doing throughout the month of September. And if we could pivot a little bit, Dr. Elliott, if you don't mind, I think that in going with the theme of the questions that are being asked, the information that Ashlyn put together might be better and people can just put in the chat, what they look like doing so people could see it.
Okay.
What their week is, but her PowerPoint presentation may be much more beneficial than me asking.
All right, great. That's a great suggestion and a great use of our time. So as if the chat room is open, if you will, and you have ideas from your high school things you're doing on your campus or at A&M Kingsville, enter that into the chat space. Make sure you're chatting to everyone, not just to me personally or one of our panelists. And I'm going to turn it over to Ashlyn Clark, who has a brief PowerPoint presentation to share, and then we'll wrap up with Representative Hunter. Ashlyn, we're ready for you to share your screen.
Hello, my name's Ashlyn Clark. I'm a junior at Veterans Memorial. I'm going to share my screen quick. There we go.
There you go. We can see it.
Okay. So this is a really quick presentation. I just included two articles or resources to help.
You didn't mute yourself.
The first one is an article from the faculty experts from Johns Hopkins Center for Adolescent Health. I just included the main points from it. It had said, social distancing and interruption of typical school routines can be challenging for adolescents. They had the 3 greatest emotional and mental impacts that are stemmed from us. First off is school closures. Second is being in the house with family members. And 3 is not getting to see friends or peers. The 2 main tasks of adolescence are 1, to develop social skills, and 2, to develop a sense of identity. We develop these skills through, through social interaction. And with COVID happening, it's very hard for students like us to be able to participate in social activities. But when we come back to school, they had also said that we're not only going to be having educational setbacks, but also setbacks in our social and emotional skills, because we are not used to being around a lot of people since we've been quarantined for 6 or 7 months now. The next resource that I used was actually an Instagram post. It was ideas to reach out to someone without using the vague, how are you and are you okay? And people would just say, I'm fine. And that's where the conversation would end. It gave me 50 different ways to ask that. These are some of my personal favorites that I think will be most effective. First off, acknowledge their strength during these times. Second, give them a compliment. A confidence boost never really can go wrong with someone who is struggling. If you know one of their hobbies, ask to join them, like going for a walk or run. That's one of the next ones. Going for a walk or run, or painting, or just a hobby that you know that they like to do. Always ask to join them. You can always ask them how they're doing, have a good conversation if you're wanting that. Assure them that you won't leave their side. Ask if they want to go for a walk or run. I like this one because it also gives them a little bit of exercise, because with COVID, sports are being postponed or canceled, so that can give them a little bit of joy. Tell them they're enough, especially on their bad days. That's a very good one too. I'm going to share all of the links that I use from the article and the Instagram post. The Instagram post has 50 different ways to ask someone if they're okay. So it's very resourceful, and I'll post those in the chat after I stop screen sharing. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashlyn. I just want to say that there have been some really great questions and points posed in the chat, both in the group chat and to some of us privately. And so what I would urge you to do, so that I want to make sure, I'm going to download the chat, but I also want to make sure that if you posed a personal question, that you're able to get a response to that question after this session is over. And I would think that the best way for you to do that is to look back up there and see the email addresses for me, Dr. Gerlach, Dr. Bessanice, or Dr. Pettis, and copy that email address and send us an email. I never like to speak for other people, but I'm betting if you send us an email, you'll get a reply. Some of you are posting questions about your friends. Some of you are posting questions about your own personal experiences. And so I urge you, because we don't have your email addresses. So go back up and look at the chat. If you have a question for me, Dr. Gerlach, Dr. Bessanice, or Dr. Pettis, send us an email and we'll make sure that you get a response back, okay? You're asking some very good, important questions. Ashlyn has posted the links to the information that was in her PowerPoint. This has been quite an hour. I think we would all want all of you to know, as students on your campuses, high school and at A&M Kingsville, you're going to be the first line as students are experiencing challenges, especially during this time. And knowing that you have the power to ask questions, ask how your friends are doing, be specific in your questioning, and give them some suggestions for where to reach out if they need help. That's very empowering. And I certainly hope that this time together has given you the courage to do that, and the courage to ask for help yourself if you need some help.
I just say thank you to the sponsors and to the principals and superintendents for accepting my invitation when I reached out. That tells you, students, you already have an adult that you can count on that's going to take you somewhere to help you get some answers or to help create change. So thank you so much. I'm hearing privately from several of the superintendents and principals saying that the students are reaching out to them with all sorts of ideas. And I've got goosebumps all over. I just really feel like you are going to make some wonderful, wonderful things happen. And we could not be more proud. Thank you so much for your time. You're muted. Dr. Elif, you're muted.
Trying to unmute here. Representative Hunter, would you close us out, please?
Sure will. Hey, everybody, thanks. I told you at the very beginning, this is going to be positive. And we've made great positive progress. Dr. Elif, Dr. Pettis, thank you so much. You've all been great, great supporters of suicide prevention, suicide education, mental health awareness. And, you know, Dr. Gerlach, Dr. Bessanice, thank you so much. Thank you for being great resources. And Don Clark and Ashton Clark, thank you. We've been going through this from the beginning. We're going to keep it continuing. And I want to tell you, Mona Lisa, thanks for your courage. That's the passion. That's the message that helps me and others bring good law to the state of Texas. So I want to tell you, you're making a difference. And finally, I want to tell you all this. We're not stopping here. Today's a beginning. If you see on the screen, Angie Flores from my office, who coordinates a lot of this, she's our contact. If you have ideas on how Texas can do better, improve, new ideas, as you said, we're in a different technology world today. Who knew we'd be wearing masks and talking virtually? But if you've got ideas, the law changes start in January. So I challenge all of you, get your ideas to my office, to Dr. Elliff, Dr. Pettis. Please get your ideas in, because we will go in there and try to do like we did. Coastal Bend got this month designated. We've got some laws on data collection. It's going positive. So remember, working together, we get things done. You all did great. Thanks to all the schools, all the faculty, all of you. You know what this is? We're one big family, and we're going to make a difference. Thanks to everybody.
Thank you, Representative Hunter. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I've downloaded the chat, and our meeting is concluded. Thank you so much.